Mr. President, Kenya's strong adherence to human rights is evident by its membership in most of the key international human rights instruments. The government remains dedicated to their full and effective implementation, which entails both regular reporting to treaty bodies and constructive engagement in dialogue with them. Additionally, Kenya is an active member of the regional human rights mechanisms, including the East Africa Community Court of Justice and Africa Charter on Human People's Rights. Domestically, Kenya has implemented various legal, policy, judicial, and other mechanisms to safeguard the enjoyment of these rights by all citizens. In 2010, Kenya established one of the most progressive constitutions in history. Its Chapter 4 is dedicated to the Bill of Rights, which protects fundamental freedoms and rights. This Bill of Rights applies to all people and state organs without discrimination. Kenya is cognizant of the fact that corruption is a threat to human rights. Corruption often facilitates and aggravates human rights violations, particularly against vulnerable groups, by hindering their access to rights and services such as legal representation and a fair trial, property rights, education, health, and social protection. We continue to strengthen institutions, legislation, regulations, and policies to fight corruption, including the Ethics and Anti-Corruption Commission. Still, Kenya has upheld its commitment by maintaining a standing invitation for special procedures since 2015 and has consistently accepted requests and responded to recommendations subject to their respective functions. And in recognition of the valuable contribution of civil society organizations, public and national human rights commissions, Kenya actively engages with them through various fora and incorporates their perspectives in its periodic reports. Kenya has extended the arc of human rights protection to vulnerable groups, including refugees, through legislation and policies such as the Shirika Plan, which is a premier refugee integration and management program. Kenya has guaranteed the dignity and economic rights of these victims of forced displacement. Mr. President, in conclusion, as a steadfast champion of the Council and its vital mechanisms, Kenya pledges to continue our proactive engagement on the international stage as we take up our seat in the Council. We reaffirm that human rights remain the cornerstone of our shared humanity, guided by our Constitution and the Universal Declaration of Human Rights as the bedrock of international human rights standards. Kenya is committed to fostering a just society both at home and globally. We have set a high threshold in protecting and expanding freedom of expression, free press, upholding sanctity of life, countering all forms of violence, including gender-based violence and femicide, amongst others. Our cardinal goal is to contribute to a more just, equitable, and a human rights respecting. Notably, the incidences of war and conflict persist, leading to grave violations of human rights, as reflected in the rising cases of crimes against humanity, war crimes, and even genocide. The implication is that the Council's crucial role in addressing abuses, preventing conflict, and its emphasis on the need for peace has become more important. Today, we are witnessing violent conflicts characterized by indiscriminate attacks on civilian populations, including schools, hospitals, use of sexual and gender-based violence as a weapon of war, rise in violent extremism, dissemination of economic livelihoods, and forced displacements. The United Nations High Commissioner for Refugees, in its Global Appeal 2025, projects that over 139 million people globally will be forcefully displaced or become stateless by the end of 2025 due to conflicts. Most of these are vulnerable people from developing countries. Recent reports by UNICEF indicate nearly 47 million children are displaced due to conflict, with the numbers expected to continue increasing. The global organization Save the Children International reports that 1 in 11 children are being denied of their basic rights to live, learn, be protected, and prosper due to violent conflict, adverse climate change, and global economic instability. Today in Africa, over 2.8 million children are out of school. The wars in Sudan, Democratic Republic of Congo, Libya, Gaza, Lebanon, Ukraine, Haiti, Myanmar are some of the notable examples of crises, including Africa's forgotten conflicts. They have been spoken to earlier by other speakers. Kenya continues its active engagement in peace initiatives, both regional and internationally, including in DRC, Sudan, Somalia, and Haiti, among others, because we recognize that sustainable peace is linked to the protection and promotion of human rights. As such, there's a compelling need to fully incorporate human rights considerations in the peace missions and general conflict resolution mechanisms. We believe the Council's work is more vital than ever before, serving as a critical platform for addressing human rights abuses, which are often both a cause and a consequence of conflict. Mr. President, we believe that despite significant challenges, multilateralism remains our most viable option in addressing global issues and promoting human rights. Therefore, in order to maintain its credibility and effectiveness, we must avoid politicization and selective application of standards. The Council should serve as a platform for constructive dialogue, impartial assessment, and collaborative action, fostering genuine progress in the global human rights landscape. Kenya reaffirms its commitment to advocating for marginalized groups, particularly in the face of rising xenophobia, Afrophobia, and racial discrimination. As the current chair rapporteur of the Intergovernmental Working Group on the Durban Declaration, Kenya is dedicated to combating racism and related intolerance, welcoming the second International Decade for People of African Descent and its focus on reparatory justice and development. It is important to mention the 2025 AU theme of the year, Justice for Africans and the People of the African Descent through Reparations, a clear demonstration of Africa's commitment to justice, accountability, and the recognition of historical injustices. Kenya commends the Council's crucial work in recognizing the inextricable link between climate change and human rights. We acknowledge the urgent need to address environmental crisis as a recognition of the direct connection between environmental degradation and human rights abuses. Kenya will continue to champion this cause during our tenure on the Council. In this regard, we emphasize the importance of respecting the principles enshrined in the Paris Agreement. We believe that climate finance and the Loss and Damage Fund are critical and represent the bare minimum of what is necessary for a just transition and broader climate justice. We bear witness to the profound impact of climate change in worsening existing vulnerabilities, entrenching marginalization, acting as a threat multiplier, and contributing to instability and conflict in already fragile regions. Mr. President, Kenya recognizes the evolving landscape of human rights challenges in the digital age and is committed to addressing them proactively. We are reviewing our 2014 National Policy and Action Plan on Human Rights to integrate emerging issues, particularly those related to technology and bridging the digital divide. We believe the Council has a crucial role in promoting equitable access to emerging technologies, critical infrastructure, and skills necessary for full participation in the information society. We emphasize that bridging the digital divide is essential to prevent technology from worsening existing inequalities. To this end, during our tenure, Kenya aims to advocate for the recognition of access to technology as an essential component of the right to information as enshrined in Article 19 of the Universal Declaration of Human Rights and Article 19 of the International Covenant on Civil and Political Rights. We welcome all efforts towards ensuring that technology is accessible, affordable, and beneficial for all. Mr. President, we recognize the right to development as a crucial opportunity to foster an environment where every individual and every society can reach their full potential. Kenya will use its position in the Council to advocate for an equitable and democratic international order to serve all humanity. This includes addressing the critical issue of foreign debt and its impact on states' abilities to promote and protect human rights. We believe the Council is uniquely positioned to provide a platform for discussing and advancing reforms in the global financial architecture to ensure greater equity.